Hey there, it's BitB, and welcome out to another BitB stream. Thanks for coming out. It is Saturday. We'll lower that. Right, and we're playing more Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth. Now, the last time that we tried to do the stream, yeah, turns out we didn't really fix much of anything. We found more evidence and all that jazz, but it looks like Gumshoe is still kind of on the chopping floor. I don't know, the cutting room floor. Actually, no, that's not it. Chopping block. There we go. That's the term. But anyways, yeah, we have one place that we need to go investigate, and that is one of the first court lobbies. So let's go ahead and dive directly into that, shall we? Let me move over to the next tab. That's not right. That is. Oh, hold on one second. Is that right? For some reason I can't... oh, right. I should probably raise the audio real quick. Whoops. Yeah, that helps. Anywho. Ooh. We're nearing the end, apparently. September 10th, 5:45 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 1. Very well. What is this incredibly overpowering sweet scent? Flower. It smells like flowers. Hello there. Uncle Bad, is that it? Isn't that Detective Bad and Kay over there? Looks like she managed to escape the bailiff. As she tends to do. No, that's not quite it. Ah, too bad. But it's so pretty. I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it. Thanks! I'll treasure it always! Those two seem to get along rather well. Oh, here, I got something else for you. It's a gun. Oh, no, okay. Oh, a sweet roll. Yay! Thank you, Uncle Bad. Uncle Bad, rather. Earlier, I ate one of these with gummy. Gummy? Oh, you mean gumshoe? A gummy. Sniffle. He was trying to be nice to me because I was gonna get in trouble. And then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Gummy. I know he didn't kill Daddy! Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying. I'm not crying. Clearly. Okay. Oh, it's a mister from before. And the lady, too. Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being? You're not involved in the investigation, so it's for the best if you do. Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant. So I'm related to the investigation. Bullshit. Bullcrap tactics. Here. I'm gonna move over to a different set of headphones. It's because everything sounds perfectly fine. There we go. Now audio level this thing. And good. Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess. Resound sigh. What? You were just scolding us like kids not to mess up the crime scene, and now you let this child run free? Why? People are free to investigate things outside the actual crime scene. You also had a few things she wanted to look into. You got a problem with that? Yeah. If I don't have a problem with that... wait, I don't have a problem with that, but I am curious as to what Miss Yu is looking into. Uncle Bad, I'm gonna go look somewhere else now, okay? Alright, I'm counting on you. Oh, that's right. Hey, mister. Yes, what is it? I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy. I mean it. So, please, find the real bad guy, okay? No promises. I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony and evidence, there is no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. She wandered off while I was pondering. She does that. Alright, let's take a look around, shall we? Nice couch. It distinctly looks like a casting couch that I'm worried. That expensive painting is ill-suited to be hanging on the wall of this room. I wonder if a guard detail should be placed on it. Why do you say that? Well, a desperate low-paid detective might make off with it someday. You never know. She may be thinking about hiring a guard. But it's obvious she isn't factoring in that guard's salary whatsoever. Ah, yes. You would need quite a salary in order to not steal a painting such as this. It looks very similar to the other one. Ah, there's the thermos. What an incredibly strong scented herbal tea. I fear that more than being relaxed, this scent may make one a bit heady instead. You put in a special request for that. No wonder she's so violent. She's been drinking this stuff the whole time. Thinking. Neither woman should be allowed to comment on this particular topic, ever. I see. We got another television. This television is the same model as the one in Defendant Lobby number 2. Looks like the two rooms are basically the same in terms of layout and supplies. Yes. The two rooms are basically the same, huh? So what's the differences? Alright, we need to spot the difference, I'm guessing. One of the windows in this lobby is open as well. The air conditioner is working just fine in this room, so why did they open it, I wonder? Who knows? Okay, anything on this table? Hello. It may not look like much, but I find that ordinary tables like this one are very useful. I think it's time they bought a new one. I wonder if they'll replace this table if I hit it enough with my whip. A much too heavy-handed method if I ever saw one. I see. And I've seen a couple of cases of people directly and intentionally breaking property just for the sake of them being able to replace it with something else. Because, you know, corporate, they're not going to replace anything until it's officially broken. This decorative plant's leaves are shinier than the ones in the in lobby number 2. That's probably because it's next to the window where it's easier to photosynthesize. You may be right. Plus, the curtains are always drawn in lobby number 2. The caretaker of this courthouse don't think enough about the plants, do they? That's because they're courthouse caretakers, not a bunch of botanists. Anything with this window? I can see down into the courthouse from here. What is that mess supposed to be? It's like an optical illusion. What mess? I believe it's supposed to be a postmodern in design. More like thoughtlessness in design. Ponder, ponder, ponder. I can't disagree there. Okay. So, yeah, I'm curious. I think I would like to take a look at the other lobby. Really? Everything's similar? Well, okay, the potted plant has moved in a different direction. And the potted plant is soothing to be around it, but meh. Oh, yeah, and there's you. Right. I'll be back. I'm gonna talk with Bad real quick. Just to make sure I got all of my, my bases covered. Hello? Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy. Oh, and I suppose it has something to do with Kay? It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point. I don't have time to waste. Sounds like he'd rather be left alone. I have something I'd like to confirm with you once again. I don't have anything to say to you. Be that as it may, we still have questions that we need answers to. Now then, first of all, what is the overpowering smell that is permeating this room? Upon entering the room, I thought I was going to suffocate. It's that ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it. I was having a bad time of it myself. I didn't think twice and opened the window, but that smell's still here. Perfume, huh? So the sweet scent in the air is perfume. Well, it's giving off quite a stench. I bet it's some cheap no-name brand. Ugh. All I think is like perfume that you buy at the dollar store. And by the way, why would you ever do that? She said it's a famous brand from overseas. Okay, so rare and difficult to get a hold of. Good. It can be used as evidence. It's a knockoff. Yes, it's definitely a knockoff. No disrespect, but she forced one of those bottles on me. Here, little girl, you can have it.
I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume. However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail.
Why can't you ever be honest about her wants? Whatever, we have perfume now. So now we have the perfume Miss Yu wears. Just fantastic. Is that all you wanted to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. Pretty well. Let me take a look at my organizer. I want to see that thing. Perfume given to a bad by you. Same perfume as the one spilled in lobby number 1. Very interesting. So, you were in this room the entire recess? Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to get that big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end in here.
At least your story is consistent.
Earlier you stated that you were in the lobby with Miss Yu? Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here. Then what will you say is... what were you saying is that until Detective Gumshoe's arrival, you and Miss Yu were in 2 different locations? Guess I am. Interesting.
Speaking of that lawyer, she seems to have a great dislike for you.
Let's see. Miss Yu is the sister of the victim of the KG-8 incident. And as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective on the case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard Cease, but because you were the lead detective on the case. You knew? I also know that today's trial involving the Kodopian Embassy staff member is being referred to as the second KG-8 incident. Yep, sir. Put your stink eye away. Now then, Detective, I believe it's time you were honest with me and told me the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday and the KG-8 incident. If you already know that much, I guess it'd be alright to tell you. Yay, finally, we're opening up the bottle. And this one hopefully won't stink. Now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the KG-8 incident. It's not exactly a happy story, other than the people who were directly involved. You two will be the first to hear what I'm about to tell. The honest truth behind the KG-8 incident. Yes. So what exactly happened? Faraday, you, and I. As you already know, we 3 were involved with the KG-8 incident. Faraday and I, we were originally on the trail of a smuggling ring. You mean the smuggling case involving one of the Amano Group's secretaries? That trial was just a front.
A facade?
Yeah, but the case became tainted. All because the witness who was going to testify about the Amano Group's ties to the smuggling ring, Cease Yu, was killed. Then what became of the secretary who was arrested? His name was Colin Devore. To be honest, the guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway. Devore was probably being intimidated by the big boss man. Just another scapegoat. The boss man of the Amano Group? He can't seriously mean Mr. Ernest Amano. That can't be right. It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis. Nope! What's he trying to do, suspecting Mr. Amano of being involved with smuggling?
I suppose it would have been quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. But the man who killed Cease Yu, Manny Corden, was a completely different person. But since he's already been acquitted once of her murder, Mr. Faraday, how could you have let him go? If I remember correctly, I heard that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from him.
That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine.
I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, Cease. I was supposed to protect them both.
Miss Yu did mention that as well. About how Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister.
But even I, who was supposed to protect them, I fell into their trap.
What kind of a trap?
The holes in this jacket are a testament to that trap.
Oh, dear God. You mean you were fired upon? I mean, eventually, yeah, I'm sure he got fired upon at some point. I did wonder, just being like, how many shootouts have you been in where there's that many holes in you? It's like you are practically Swiss cheese. You were shot at that many times in one gunfight?
No.
Okay, good.
Only about half of these are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself of the lessons I learned from the KG-8 incident.
Boy, I wonder, I mean, it doesn't look very stained, so did any of those bullets actually hit? Here. I see.
I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We'd hit a brick wall, as far as the law was concerned. And that was when she came to the courtroom, the victim's sister. That's when I first met Callisto Yu.
About when you first met Miss Yu. It was on the day the verdict of the KG-8 incident was handed down, was it not?
Yes. Faraday and I, we apologized to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do. But just saying you're sorry won't bring my sister back, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face.
Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at just the slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes wouldn't be punishment enough.
I suppose not.
Nope. She's a little more high-strung than that.
You said it yourself that she never wanted to see either of us ever again.
But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct?
Yeah. Faraday and I, even after the KG-8 incident had come to a close, we continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and got involved in a variety of cases. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases, but the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring.
Is the ring really that big?
It was in the pursuit of the ring that we met you once again.
Sounds suspicious. She seems to pop up a lot in that ring.
It was during another trial related to the smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor, and I, as the lead detective, took to the witness stand. She appeared out of the blue, as the defense attorney.
Boy, she worked pretty hard to get to that position, I guess. Her client was related to the smuggling ring, and she was defending them?
Yeah. You was pursuing the ring as best she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Rail this time for the same reason.
Come to think of it, Miss Yu did say something to the same effect. Flashback. I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KG-8 incident, alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer?
Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rel, rather, you are a woman, was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him, ever. So don't you dare suggest I was going to. Doesn't matter what her reason is. Helping a criminal is just despicable.
You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are.
How dare you insult the daughter of a Von Karma?
Just like us, you felt that she had hit the limit of what the law could do. That's all.
The law is merely a tool. There is no limit to it, only the skill of the craftsman.
You two are still too young. One day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we met you again in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all.
Boy, this guy has got a heck of a story to tell. So, Faraday?
So, what was your relation to Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well.
I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay, I've known her since the day she was born. Faraday and I, we cracked quite a few cases together.
But you two seem to have made no progress at all in the Yatagarasu case.
Sweat.
Did we touch a nerve?
I only have one thing to say to you. No one knew more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday.
So you're in on it.
That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either.
I sense that there's more to that statement than meets the eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into Yatagarasu is what's necessary.
Ooh, and now we ask more questions about that.
You claim to know much about the Yatagarasu. Would you care to share what you know with me?
What you two should be looking for right now is proof of murderous intent towards Faraday and Rel.
I agree, which is exactly why I am asking you about the Yatagarasu.
What?
The KG-8 incident and this second KG-8 incident, both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And in both of these cases, the witness who was to testify about the ring was murdered. However, there is one point in which they differ, and that is the presence or absence of the great thief Yatagarasu. Mr. Rel claimed to be the Yatagarasu. However, in the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yatagarasu. Then, during the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that to be the least bit odd?
Miles Edgeworth, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already!
I believe that there must be some reason that the two men suspected of being the Yatagarasu were both killed at the same time.
A reason.
And so, in order to catch Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel cold-blooded killer, I feel that I need to learn as much as I can about the Yatagarasu.
If it'll help you solve the case, then I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason why we've never caught the Yatagarasu.
What was that sudden outburst for? You almost made me whip you by accident! Don't whip me! Don't!
It still accidentally whipped me anyways.
There are three main reasons why the Yatagarasu will always be one step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. Third, the Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind. Ever.
I see. So those are the Yatagarasu's special traits.
Sounds like an incredibly elusive thief.
The Yatagarasu has never been caught on tape, never tries to draw anyone's attention, and would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Rel wasn't the real Yatagarasu right away.
But you can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't.
Listen, little girl. I'm not done talking yet.
He's cutting me off!
What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police and the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy. The Yatagarasu.
Oh boy.
The Yatagarasu sent the evidence?
Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about.
In that case, how can you be so sure it was the Yatagarasu who sent it?
That's easy. A special card that only the Yatagarasu uses was attached. That's how I can be sure.
You know, I keep hearing these things about calling cards, and the first thing I think is, how are they, like, who made them? And can't those be traced back? You know, like, if you have your own, like, screen printer and you're able to, like, screen print some cards or something to that degree, I guess that would be one thing. But don't you think you could trace back being like, okay, who's got this model of screen printer? This ink was bought at this place at this time. I don't know. It's kind of like the whole newspaper thing. I mean, that made a heck of a lot of sense in crime fiction, just because glue is kind of everywhere. You could get glue at any location, and then on top of that, the magazines, you could pick those up anywhere too. So gluing those together makes sense. So it's like, that's a very specific thing that I feel like could have been led back to somewhere. But whatever, this is fiction. And just what sort of card is it? A bullshit one, that's it.
Here, take a look at this article.
Ah, yes, that one.
Whenever the Yatagarasu was to publicize something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information.
Oh, okay. So it's like a greeting card, actually.
But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was.
Gah, and that's how Detective Bad knew that Mr. Rel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have a much better understanding of the Yatagarasu now.
Very well, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes?
His Honor would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So if you could please head over to the courtroom, it'd be much appreciated, sir.
Understood. I'll be there shortly. Detective Bad, what does the law mean to you?
Finding the answer to that question is the only reason I'm still alive.
So deep.
I became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself, and to play a part in ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty.
And you became a bit of a douchebag for it. September 10th, District Court, courtroom number 3. Hello, Edge.
Whoa, it's you, Mr. Edgeworth.
It appears that His Honor is still a bit dispirited.
For the first time today, I experienced what it's like to stand at the witness stand. I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give testimony.
Well, there's no reason for you to be all depressed about it, Your Honor. As a judge, no one expects you to think about anything other than the verdict.
Franziska, there's no need to further depress His Honor.
But I'm not trying to, Miles.
And yet you're doing a fine job of it. Your Honor. Your Honor, I've come to collect the evidence that was to be transferred to me. Here. Your Honor, the evidence?
Your Honor! Yes, can I help you?
Jesus. I would say Alzheimer's, but he's pretty, he's got his head on straight 7 years in the future, so, meh. As on straight as he is now, but, you know.
I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir.
Your Honor, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job?
Yes, I'm sorry. And I would expect that the defense attorney has yet to arrive.
She is busy with the investigation, so let's keep this brief, shall we?
Very well. In that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murders of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rail are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation in their case.
Understood, Your Honor.
The pieces of evidence that were used in the murder of those two men. This could be a very good chance for me to find new leads regarding their case. And maybe even something that will finally lead me to the truth.
I placed all the evidence over at the prosecutor's bench for you.
I see. Thank you very much. I will go and confirm that they are all accounted for.
Very well. What is on the defense's desk, by the way? I see some papers.
Evidence that Miss Yu prepared is just sitting here on the table.
You know you can't just walk off with it, right?
Of course I do! Miss Yu must have been caught off guard by her client's sudden accusation. I wonder how she would have defended Mr. Rell if that case, in that case, if he was still alive.
The words are kind of like bleeding into this white floor.
So this is the evidence related to today's Kodopian Embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag.
You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2, right?
Yes, finally, we can now take a look at the evidence itself, and not just data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have the time.
Agreed. I want to take a good look at all the evidence from the embassy murder myself.
And why is that?
Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about.
Good! Don't point your crop at me just because you don't know something.
And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today.
I see someone is still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma.
Alright. Ooh, alright, here's the stuff.
It's also real to see the knife up close.
So, we have the knife, the gun, an envelope. Then what's this organizer doing here?
Whoa, that's right. I completely forgot to tell you.
About what, Your Honor?
They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside that evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help the investigation.
Detective Bad said that?
What a strange stroke of luck.
Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. We might as well flip through it, too.
I will look a gift horse in the mouth. Why does he want us to have this? See, because the way I see it, it's either Miss Yu or Detective Bad that ended up doing this for whatever stupid reason. And in my mind, if he is literally handing me this this envelope, it's either he is on my side or he's attempting to try and screw with... He's trying to screw with the narrative in some way, which, considering we just got a whole bunch of information from him, that could be the case.
I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny.
Do you really need to inspect every nook and cranny of all this evidence? It was inspected for you.
I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started.
Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim it.
I suppose I should explain it to you then.
Yes, you should. Perfectly, and in its entirety, if you please.
On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. And you're to blame. You gave love a bad. Mackerel was brought in that night as a suspect and thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot.
A simpleton of a man, that's what he was.
Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence we had. Mr. Rell was caught in the act on film by a security camera.
He was an even bigger simpleton than I thought. I can't believe he didn't notice a security camera.
The Kodopian Embassy security system is supposedly very well designed. He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area.
So, have you seen the contents of the video yourself?
Nope.
Oh, he has.
Yes, the surveillance video the security camera took was played during the trial by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rell on it. Even the sound of the gunshot was crystal clear.
So the footage included sound, huh? I don't think I've ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life.
Me neither.
Okay, I guess I'll go one at a time and end it off with the notebook.
This gun. It was originally used to kill the Kodopian Embassy staff member. When the crime was reported,
The responding police found Mr. Rel still holding it, which led to his immediate arrest. He didn't even holster it? Good God.
And then the gun took the original shooter's life. How ironic.
Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. Then there is knife. It's the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday.
Who would have thought that such a beautiful piece of art could be used for such a cruel act?
And it's never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purpose? Yes. Mr. Faraday's organizer. It appears he was in the habit of using it.
It looks like he wrote his strategy for getting Mr. Rel convicted down in here.
I have collected the evidence I need to prove that Rel was the killer. Oh, come on, give me a chance to read the damn thing. Between the handgun Rel had on him when he was arrested and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one. Okay. And apparently there are 4 pages. It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rel was the killer in this case. The sound of his handgun going off was recorded with superb clarity on the surveillance video. I also have evidence that I can use to prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. What piece of evidence was that? I'm trying to remember that. I'm trying to remember if that was brought up. And it would also appear that he had proof that Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. No matter how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu's key, I can prove he's a phony. Key? If I present it to him in court, it should clear everything up. And he apparently also had a very definitive piece of evidence. It's been a long battle. I hope this will finally bring it to an end. Yes, I believe that Mr. Faraday was well prepared to discredit any claim that Mr. Rel may have made about being the real Yatagarasu.
And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rel was the guilty party in the embassy murder.
This organizer is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later. I already did.
Look, there's a picture stuck between these pages here.
Oh, hello. There's the key. Weird. What the heck does that open? I don't even know. It appears to be a key.
And rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design on the handle.
The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu key Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer?
The Yatagarasu's key?
Detective Bad said something earlier.
What's different about this time? Well, that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy. The Yatagarasu.
The Yatagarasu sent the evidence?
Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about.
A key? What does it unlock? Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep this secret key safe.
As the prosecutor on both the Yatagarasu and smuggling ring cases, that's to be expected. Interesting. Alright, I'm swaying a little bit away from Bad. That's odd.
What is it?
Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer.
That certainly is odd.
The weapon that was used to kill the Kodopian embassy staff member was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was used to murder Mr. Faraday come from?
Isn't it obvious? It was brought into the courthouse by Mr. Rel. That's the only logical conclusion, right?
No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is checked thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as this inside.
In that case, how do you suppose the knife ended up inside the courthouse?
Well, you could fit it through the bars, but how would you reach the 3rd story? I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer. However,
it is a fact that this knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there's one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organizer that no one has claimed to have seen today. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence.
Miles Edgeworth, can I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean that you don't have an answer for me?
Actually, I do know the answer, Franziska.
What is it?
One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought into the courthouse. Okay.
Well, if I had to take a guess, I mean, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I do wonder if maybe this sort of switchblade design could have possibly, like, hit a key in some capacity. Let me think. Don't know if you could hide it in a gun. There's no way in hell that it was packed in perfume, right? Ooh, I can check it. But I can't really get much out of it. Again, it's got kind of an ornate design, and it's got a slight, like, warbling on the outside of it. Okay, so what is a very similar item that could have potentially been smuggled in with? I mean, one of the pieces of evidence that was not accounted for had to have been the knife. So the key could have been, well, perhaps the key was along with the knife, but the key itself was hidden in some capacity, and then the knife was used for the murder.
I don't see how that answers my question at all.
Every piece of evidence has some secretive aspect about it.
Oh, then I demand to know what the secret is to this one.
Alright, maybe there's no secret to this one. I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer. However, the fact that there was a knife came from Faraday's evidence bag.
One item listed Faraday's organizer. No one has claimed to have seen today. Okay, so it has something to do with the organizer then. What piece of evidence was specifically talked about in here? Handgun Rel had on him when he was arrested, and the oh yeah, that's right, the surveillance tape. But why would that be anything? No matter how many, how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu key, I can prove he's a phony. Interesting. So, the knife was definitely brought in somehow. Oh, right. I chose the knife to prove that I brought in a knife. Whoops. Okay, so I guess that would mean that I was supposed to choose the key then. Yep. Whoops. My bad.
This Yatagarasu key Mr. Faraday mentions in his organizer. This is how the knife was brought into the courthouse.
You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth.
You simpleton. You just need to look a bit closer, Franziska, to see what I mean. Don't the color and the ornate ornamentation of the key's handle remind you of anything?
They do remind me of the knife.
Very good. Both the Yatagarasu's key in this photo and the murderous knife have this very unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentions the Yatagarasu key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife.
You don't seriously mean to say...
It appears that you've finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are in fact one and the same.
But that's impossible!
Again, you simpleton. Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate this possibility. Now then, let us examine this knife in a little more detail.
Cool. Let's see, so... bloodiness, and... I seem to see a little slit at the end. Ah, nice.
I can't believe it turned into a key! To think there was such a trick to this thing!
So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday is actually the key the Yatagarasu stole. This piece of information is more critical than anything we've learned up till now. So wait, why was it in separate bags? One of them was inside the booklet and the other one was inside a bag. Did he have 2 keys on him?
Frankly, I'm shocked.
Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this piece of evidence in his organizer. It's possible that even he had no idea the key was hiding a knife blade inside.
But if that's true, then only someone who knew about the key to knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday.
Even among law enforcement, the key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could be is the one who set the key in the first place. The great thief, Yatagarasu!
Then maybe Mr. L really was the Yatagarasu. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario?
No, not really, especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced that Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier...
But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was.
I see. Alright then. I guess the person who knows the trick behind this key is someone else, and that person is the real Yatagarasu.
It seems that this key is truly the key to solving this case. Waka waka. Very well. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And the piece that's missing is the surveillance video that was played in court.
Surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where'd it go?
The video showing the moment in which Mr. Rel committed the murder. Where could it have gone, indeed?
Judge, do you know where it is? Are you keeping it in your stash of, like, horrible murder scribes? Are you done with your inspection of the evidence?
Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I am missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence.
Your Honor, were you derelict in your duties? Don't put him down!
What? No, I dare not neglect my duties. What do you take me for?
No, Your Honor, the most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not amongst the evidence you laid out for me.
But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere at the crime scene?
Oh dear. There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I will have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime, defendant lobby number 2, and confront you.
Oh dear. Hi, how you doing? September 10th, 6 o'clock p.m., District Court, defendant lobby number 2.
That's Detective Bad, but who is he with?
I've never seen that officer before.
So, did you find it?
No, not yet. And I've looked everywhere.
I see. Well then, please continue with your search.
Understood. I'll continue the search.
Podcast.
So you're the one running this show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at crime scenes.
How dare you? Just who do you think you are?
Smug bastard. What are they hiding? What was that all about? And who was that man just now?
Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life.
Look at all the tape in the wall. Young Wolf. Yes. I caught a glimpse of his hair, and the moment I saw it, I was like, oh, Jesus. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him?
I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want?
He has a mirror, dude.
It looks like you were paying attention after all.
Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head.
That seems anatomically incorrect, but... Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. Ooh, clever. So, tell me, Detective Bad, who was that man just now?
The guy came here for the Republic of Zhangfa to study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch.
That rude man. I missed one word. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has gotten a lot of dedication. He has a lot of dedication, rather.
He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude.
Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time.
I agree, however, I can think of one young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad?
Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well.
Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you.
I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me. Fine, if this is the game I must play, then I'll take this opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. And that's going to require a whole bunch of talking, I assume. Because I don't really see anything particularly different in this room. Aside from the fact that the bodies are now gone. I wonder if the killer used these plastic bags in a flash of inspiration.
With that, Detective? I somehow doubt he's that quick-witted.
So you're saying that this crime was thought out in advance?
With that, Detective? I somehow doubt he's capable of making such a complex plan.
Francisca, when will you learn to take responsibility for your statements?
With that, Detective?
Earlier you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You are quite the busy man, Detective Bad.
Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say.
I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct?
I don't have anything left to say to you, boy.
Oh, really? Boy! You'll see. I will draw my answer from you, one way or another.
Would it kill you to help us, even a tiny bit, in our investigation?
I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think?
Please, we are asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation.
Don't push me, kid.
Nope, I'm gonna push you. I'd like to ask once again about what happened around here at the time of the crime.
I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about?
Things you don't know about? But aren't you supposed to know everything?
You are the all-seeing. You are the god of this realm. He should... Wait, is it possible... Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind that piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Aha! Very well, that sounds fine. Well... Sure, I'll go ahead and present the key. Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of the item in this photography?
Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case.
In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and the Yatagarasu key are one and the same?
What? That's impossible!
Looks like you didn't know after all.
This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Yep, Death Glare! Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu key to prove that Mr. Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct?
I guess so.
However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife.
Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this?
I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that is key. Wait, that this key is what you were searching for?
Yeah, that's right.
And why were you searching for it?
Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect the key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life?
I mean, it's a pretty sharp key regardless. It looks like you could stab it with the key end of it. Very long. Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more.
Alright. But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change.
You'd be surprised. Okay. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1.
My answer is still the same. And this is the last time I'm going to do this.
That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. Time to push him.
I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things.
Talk about the trivial things.
I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran into lobby number 2.
Sounds like the exact same story he told us before. He's sharp. He remembers all the details he tells us. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information that we can.
You weren't talking with me.
Okay. Saves real quick. Just to make absolutely sure we got that done. Okay. Lobby number 1, talking with you. Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1?
Answer me! Who knows? She just said that she had something she wanted to talk to me about.
Yeah, I know. But it says I was talking with you. I get you. I know. And we walked into lobby number 1 together, that's all. So his answer remains the same as before, I see.
We were talking about some trivial things.
Again, were we talking about the weather? What the hell were we talking about? I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Yu.
Trivial stuff. It was nothing important.
So you were playing Trivial Pursuit. Guilty! That's for me to decide. All right, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then.
I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene.
Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary?
I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot.
If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give the other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask that you please amend your testimony with that statement just now.
Sure. I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot.
Weird. So... Boy, now I'm starting to wonder. When did that balloon pop? Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything?
It's the same color as the one Kay was holding.
Oh, so you knew about that girl's balloon.
Yeah, I was sitting with her up in the gallery. During the recess, just before we split up, I filled the balloon up for her.
Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon.
So, what about the balloon?
I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point?
What are you getting at?
This fragment was found in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot.
Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh?
On top of that, His Honor said that he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene.
Yes, which means that His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway. When you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at that time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well.
So?
Did you completely miss the point there? Don't give me a so!
We just proved that there's a flaw in your testimony!
The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked.
Oh, I see where he's going with this.
What is that supposed to mean?
The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbing material.
Then you mean...
Mm-hmm. Since I was shot up inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound.
I mean, there is one way in particular I'm thinking about right now. One that involves a breeze.
No!
I knew that's what he was going to say.
Then that means that Scrumpface's testimony is completely useless. If the rooms are soundproof, then of course he wouldn't hear any sign of a struggle.
Oh, no.
That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids?
Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around.
The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear a real gunshot either. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that is the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot?
What do you mean, how? I just did.
It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words.
Oh, how so?
If the rooms are soundproof, as you say they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears?
I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought.
Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to?
It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have.
Looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh?
Yeah. The state of the crime scene? Wait, can it be?
It's that ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it.
Aha. More logic. And way too noisy. Very loud television. Lobby number 2's television. It looks like it was set to an incredibly high volume. Ooh.
Surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go?
We're getting a lot of evidence out of nowhere. Cool. Now it's time to combine them. Okay, so what are we doing here? Dissipating the smell. Window in lobby number 1 was open to allow the perfume misuse spilled to dissipate. No human can climb through these barred windows. A very loud television. And a missing piece of evidence. I feel like perhaps this television might have had something to do... Well, okay. Yeah, a window in lobby number 1 was open to allow the perfume to dissipate. Well, then there was also a very loud television. Does that have something to do with it? Poof. Not exactly a shining example of the perfect line of logic. Shit. This is fine. Okay, so it's not those. No human can climb through these barred windows. The scent of flowers. Oh, okay. This is probably what's going on here. We're talking about the flowers. Yes. It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet, the fragments of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course, incorporeal things can move freely through these open, barred windows. Okay, so we know criminal couldn't have made it through, but what about incorporeal things, like smells? Where are the surveillance tape? Okay. So, if they're incorporeal things in particular, that means sound can also escape. Right, I thought too quickly. Now then, what else besides a smell can go both in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. And since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and hallway were open, that explains how the sound of a gunshot could be heard in both locations. Oh dear. Now we combine these two. Okay, windows were open, so the gunshot could be heard, but where did it originate from? And then, where did the surveillance tape from? I mean, I don't think these two connect, but I could try and connect them. I feel like they would have just kicked me out to the main menu if they didn't. Yeah, or... Cool. The missing piece of evidence is a video that shows the moment in which Mr. Rell killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression. Oh, yes, I see. It was played back on a really loud television. I get it. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for a recess and brought back here. If it disappeared after the time, then it's possible that the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place.
Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking and let's start looking again.
It's not a waste of time to think, for I have figured out where we should look.
And where would that be?
I believe we should examine the television.
The TV. Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like.
Very well. Looks like there's only one thing we can investigate at this point. Won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Well, I'm going to start with the TV because I'm difficult that way. Earlier when Detective Gumshoe touched this, it made a noise, a most terrible racket.
You mean when Scruffy turned the television on, right?
Actually, come to think of it, I don't think Detective Gumshoe actually touched the television at all. Furthermore, it seemed more like when a video feed suddenly stops. At least it did to me.
I wonder why that is.
Herp-de-burp. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside.
It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end.
This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape?
Rewind the bastard. Be kind to rewind.
I suppose so.
Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verified the contents of this video?
Sure, knock yourself out.
Alright then, let's rewind this and see what we have.
Again, lower the sound of the audio real quick, just so everyone's ears are saved.
If I remember correctly, the footage of Rell killing the embassy staff member should be at about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape.
Understood. This should be about right. Now then, let's see. Oh, yay!
This is the footage of Mr. Rell shooting the embassy staff member.
I knew it! The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along! Got it.
This sound. What's the meaning of this?
It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind this double murder.
Do you mean you figured it all out then?
Yes. All I have to do now is show what the gunshot detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was and through where they heard it from. Notice how they don't say staff member. Interesting.
Fine. In that case, show me what you've deduced.
Now to show what the gunshot detectives Bad and Gumshoe Detective Dick Gunshot heard was, and through where they heard it from. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious looking nook and cranny. So now, we can deduce. This seems a little bit, well, actually, no. Can we... How exactly am I supposed to be doing this? Notice how they keep saying the staff member and not his name. Dead man. They know how stupid it was. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out... so I can deduce on this page. So it's either the window or it is the television. I feel like it would be the television, but... And then the surveillance video. This seems like we're kind of treading the exact same ground, so this is probably wrong. This piece of evidence will clear away the last remaining contradiction in this case.
Miles, I believe that piece may actually be proof of a different last of sorts. It proves that today, will be your last day as a prosecutor.
It appears I made a mistake.
Shit. Calm down, think it through once more. Well, real quick, just to make sure I don't put myself in an unwinnable state, I'm saving what little energy I have left. So, what we're trying to do is we are trying to prove where we heard what sound. I think it... Alright. The next thing I think is that maybe it has something to do with the window. And the sound, like from the surveillance video, traveled through the window. There we go. I knew it was one of the two. If the door and windows of the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been the wiser.
That's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were, and very conspicuously, you can murder in the court of law.
However, what happened in reality was, Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu, all three of them heard the gunshot.
Well, the windows in lobby number 1 and 2 and the hallway were open, so naturally the people in those locations could hear it.
Ah, but then why would the criminal open the window in the first place?
To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose.
But why would you do that, ma'am? Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we can draw from this.
But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction.
Very well. I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. What was it that the killer wanted to manipulate? Crime scene, when the crime took place, or the murder weapon? Oh, this is absolutely when the crime took place. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes, and they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so! Dunzo.
So that's why the tape was left running!
You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video?
Yes, which means that the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we thought. Oh dear. It must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard duty. Someone who has no alibi for that time period, and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Health! Thank you. Gonna be needing that when I poke at the real murderer.
Mr. Edgeworth!
Yes, what is it?
Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she has identified the murderer, but that she wants to clarify something.
Really? It's you, Gumshoe! No. Hope not.
Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something.
Understood. Please tell her that I will be right over.
Okay, I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say.
It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth, and I have got a good idea of who it is and what happened. Or at least I think so. I've had an inkling about it for a long time. It literally cannot be Gumshoe since he's in the games. He'd be in jail. Right. Back in the courtroom. September 10th, 6:15 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. Ah, yes, we're going to do this little battle in the Court of Justice. I'm interested. Oh, hi, you. Okay, what are you doing here?
Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating.
But the object you're looking for is already...
Okay, don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation.
Okay, you got it.
Good. Good that she's out of the picture. We're going to be talking about some heavy shit. Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for?
If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any little task will do.
Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought.
Right. Everyone, take your places.
I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth.
I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest.
The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we've more than solved this case already. Don't you? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds. Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. And, why, even Mr. Bad is here. A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander.
I have a duty to see this case through to the end.
Kay's only 2 years younger than Karma here. Ooh, I see.
No matter how it turns out.
Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements. During the time when our suspect was in the hallway, I also confirmed that there is no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must, without a doubt, be Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion. And this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there is always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. Very refreshing. It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think?
How absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But, alright. I'll play along and give you a proper testimony.
If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is to prove it by showing who the real killer is.
We'll see. Everyone says the suspect has an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirmed that there's no possible escape route for lobby number 2. Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion. That Detective Gumshoe is the killer. This is serious! Stop giggling! Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth.
But of course, there's no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump cards she has up her sleeve.
We'll see what we can crush. But first, I have full health and it is time to save.
Oh boy, I do not miss cartridge savings, I gotta say. Like, ever since it moved over to basically using your hard drive and being, like, lickety-split. Technology, am I right? Since the suspect had an alibi for when the gun went off. Yeah, exactly, Mario.
2 men were murdered.
The suspect? But I thought that Detective Gumshoe's alibi had already been proven.
Are you joking, Edgeworth?
I assure you, this is no joke.
Look, I know you heard the judge earlier. The detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll.
Yes, that is correct.
But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who can corroborate what he did since the snacking.
I see she's done her research well. Which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she...
Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right?
Whether they've been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide.
The scratched eyebrows and lines in the back of your forehead are back. Anyway, if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene, lobby number 2, has no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect.
But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through a window?
Oh boy, she's gonna laugh at me a lot. That's the first place everyone looked, silly. The police are starting a bunch of lazy bums. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad?
Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence. Just someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden.
I suppose they really did check everything that case could be relevant. Everything that could be relevant to the case.
I also confirmed there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2.
I mean, true. Are you absolutely positive that there are no possible routes of escape?
Of course I'm sure.
And why are you so certain?
This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there were an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more of it in the future.
At least I don't lose health whenever she whips me. If that were the case, I'd be rock bottom and dead.
Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that the Detective Gumshoe is the killer.
You may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand?
But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing.
Do I have a rebuttal? I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we've really reached the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Franziska or myself speaking with you about the subject.
But there were witnesses. For you, there's your mentor who gave you an alibi.
I see.
As for little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess. And we stopped by a security guard at the door of the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard, or a bailiff, or anyone else.
So basically, the only reason Franziska bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be replacement prosecutor. By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty?
What about them?
Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time?
What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived to the scene as we dashed to lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe.
Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard the gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than what the gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to manipulate our perception. Oh dear. Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1. Care to explain how that could have been fabricated? Okay, well, what piece of evidence exactly do you want me to present right now? I feel it's probably the tape, since we found it in the room. That tape? Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rel, the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded in the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot! Dear. Finally, she's not laughing.
That's the only thing I can think of, too.
After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television volume all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we now know that the method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe. Sounds from a television doesn't amount to much here. But, of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right?
Of course we knew. Didn't we, Miles?
Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of the courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago.
That's right. And if the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear it. And yet, we heard the gunshot clear as day.
And
that's it. End of story.
But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear the gunshot from the soundproof room? The door was open. The window was open. There was a hole in the wall. Oh, this one's obvious. There is actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each! Yeah? Is it starting to set in? Now we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
It's probably just coincidence that they were both open at the time.
It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is...
There's Callisto. Here, hold up. the Yatagarasu. Right, no. Manfred. Absolutely. Hold the phone. Interestingly, the person that was actually the murderer is not located on here. Dade, man. Burn Faraday. I'm trying to think about this. I don't think it was Mr. Bad. I don't think so. And this is Callisto. Oh, wait a minute. Shit. Yeah, that's her first name. Goddamn. Or wait, no. Was lawyer for Rel when also... Okay. Yeah, that was her first name. I completely forgot her first name. What the hell? My brain is so scattery. Ms. Callisto, you. I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. What? You indict me? Ah, smudging your makeup, I see.
callous of you. Sorry. It's my bad. It also doesn't help that I haven't been looking at any of the profiles at all, so that was the first time I was kind of looking at that big old screen. You can take a look at profiles in the organizer, right? Yes. So, yeah, that's my bad.
Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she's the killer?
I don't understand her motive just yet. How do you not understand her motive? But of course I'm serious. Callisto Yu is callous for you, yes. Because she's the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Of course I do, Mr. Hitchworth. You don't seem serious. My argument must not be tight enough yet.
Although I never thought things would spiral into this. But I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right?
Right. I will crush it with a hammer. Your argument that the window was open, however... argue that the window was open. However, do you have proof it was I who did that? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. Oh, I think I know how to rebut this. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now's the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test. Ugh. Good thing we got rid of that patent long ago. I'm pretty confident, but just in case, my confidence is overpowering my smarts. Goody goody. There. Something tells me they probably sped up this process quite a bit in the later games. I do like the fact that Apollo Justice for 3DS was very well optimized so that you didn't really have to worry about that, and you could just press a button to go back to the action. And also, it was saving via your hardware. Anyways, you argue that the window was open. However, do you have proof it was I who did that? I do, but hold up. Evidence? All I need to do is have some prints analyzed and we'd know straight away. Be my guest. She sounds as though she had the room to maneuver, which means even if we were able to lift prints, they'd only show that it was someone else, but why that someone else was forced to open the window? That's simple logic. Why don't I try presenting the... Stop hinting at me, come on. What's wrong? The scrunched eyebrow lines on your forehead, they're all back. More importantly, are you going to be okay with not running a fingerprint analysis? Yes, I'll be fine. Oh, well, in that case, I'll just continue with my testimony, all right? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? I thought I just proved that it was. Sure, you proved that the tape was there at the crime scene. However, that doesn't prove that it was actually used in said crime scene. Yeah. Unfortunately for you, Miss Yu, the fact that the tape was there at the crime scene is in itself very important. How so? By the very existence of that tape at the crime scene, it proves the possibility that the when of the crime could have been fabricated. And that possibility alone renders an alibi and a witness report irrelevant. Basically, it means that we will need to re-examine every person's movements again. Whether the tape was used in the crime or not, that we can reevaluate... okay, that we can reevaluate afterwards. So, in conclusion, you're admitting that you can't prove that it was at this point? Yes. Oh well. Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. Shrug. Oh well. Even if you're shocked, that is of no concern to me. I do things my own way. Oh.
I see that you're not laughing for a change.
Because I'm shocked. Again, you being shocked is of no concern to me. Let us continue with the testimony. All right. Well, let me say one thing. You shouldn't go around accusing people. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. Again, good old Swiss cheese. Full of holes. Well, I suppose it might be. Oh, admitting to your faults now, are we? At this point in time is what I meant to say. Should I take that to mean that you're just a sore loser? No matter how full of holes my logic may be right now, if I plug them one at a time, I will ultimately make my way to the truth. What a paradox. Take care to not fall into one of those holes before you fill it up.
Miles, you remember, don't you? About why a window in lobby number 1 was opened?
Yes, of course I do.
It smells! It still smells! It's in your pocket! Just get rid of it! Show it to her!
And that's how I'll attack. I'll present the reason why the window had to be opened. This is dropping a lot of hints. Jeez. Yes, it would be this. There you are, ma'am. I feel like there's going to be some kind of a twist to this at some point along the line that I'm not going to expect. I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? I never knew you weren't wearing that kind of perfume. Not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know. This isn't mine.
That's right, it's mine. And I received it from Detective Bad, you see.
Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much for sure. That this bottle of perfume was given to Detective Bad by you.
Because it gets really strong really fast.
So, what about the perfume? While you were in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of the perfume. That's according to Detective Bad. Oh, I know. You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window. Come now, I've already told you that's all a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know. So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window. The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean, Miss Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1 when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? All of today's premeditated events could only have been thought up by you, Miss Yu. You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume. Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I've already had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Yep. And here's where the bullshit starts. Why, it couldn't be me. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Miles, a testimony is flawless! Yes, but no matter what sort of trick she may try to pull, she won't escape me. And if I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her. Yeah. It would have been hilarious if he said something about the key. Just like, got you! Got you! Anyway, save time. Save, 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 save. Come on, there we go. Okay. Accusing someone of murder over spilled bottle of perfume, bit over the top. So, whatever. I've accused people for pettier things. I think I already explained the significance of that earlier. You only confirmed that I did spill some perfume. But that's all. That you would accuse me of murder based on a simple spill. Don't you dare complain when I sue you for defamation of character. Do as you like, but as for me, I believe... You believe? I believe that you are the true culprit in this case. My, you're enthusiastic. Of course, I should have guessed. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. Don't you disparage that name! I formally request that you desist in your attack against my mentor.
Yes, or we'll sue you for defamation.
All I'm doing is telling the truth. Well, maybe more like spreading gossip. Although your adamant denials are, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire. How dare you
say such a thing?
Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you.
Yeah. Oh, did you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue? In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. And why exactly could you not have killed him? I was just about to testify to that. You're such an impatient man. I'm not really into that, you know, Edgeworth. Your preferences have no bearing on what is at hand. Feeling a little uncomfortable, are we?
Miss Yu, you will desist in this tomfoolery and return your testimony. And Miles, if you're going to lose your cool, then I won't show you any mercy.
Sorry. Miss Yu, please continue with your testimony. Sure. As I was saying, I couldn't have possibly killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu. Maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag.
Miles, what do you think you're doing?
I'm drawing the truth out of her. That's what I'm doing. Huh? But I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. Ah, so that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to present was the key that Yatagarasu was sent. And unless the key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand. Did you really think you could trap me? Come now, be honest. I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said to your testimony. Sure. Why not? I'll even say it as many times as you like. There was a key in his evidence bag, but you can't kill someone with a simple key. I beg to differ. Oh, fun. Miss Yu, I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key that Yatagarasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it, in fact, has the secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagarasu's key and the murder knife! You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagarasu key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Do you understand now? Just knowing of the existence of... Son of a bitch. Why you stop me, lady? Why you stop me? I'm on a roll. I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me from that far away, you could be lying for all I know. You would even now still feign ignorance? I'm not feigning anything. But we can't have you accusing me of a crime with false evidence now, can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I've heard some very interesting rumors about him.
Are you mocking my papa?
Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor!
Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real.
Wow, who knew there was such a trick to this thing?
Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew that the knife and the Yatagarasu key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you who isn't a member rather, we've said mentor several times, member of the law enforcement, and who would never have been privy to this trick, would have never known about it to begin with.
She's starting to paint on her her makeup just a little bit faster.
Furthermore, the something that the Yatagarasu sent to the police, how did you have knowledge as to what it was?
Actually, I heard it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rel off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at the time. But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms.
What you are saying is simply not possible.
Oh, why not?
Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. For within these pages, he mentions nothing about a knife.
I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know. Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to oral communication?
Unfortunately, that is also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. What would have been highly classified information, even within the police force, and is something that even the lead detective of the case didn't know, why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition?
Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of a reason to. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse.
How can you laugh at a time like this?
She probably just realized the flaw in her logic and is actually in a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with.
I suppose you're right. Miss you, I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife.
Do you now? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me?
Oh, I will, and I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it. The moment of truth. The secret behind the Yatagarasu key. Only one person would have had knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know from the start that the Yatagarasu key could change into a knife?
The Yatagarasu would. Right?
There is only one person who would have known about the dual nature of the key.
And that is?
And that is the person who sent the Yatagarasu's key to the police. That is to say, the Yatagarasu herself. Damn you.
Are you saying that this lawyer is the great thief Yatagarasu?
Miss you. You used Mr. Rel to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You, who profess to bear a grudge against criminals, why? Why do something like this?
Still stone cold. Either that or she's gonna laugh herself into a coma.
Who would have thought that you, a stupid rookie prosecutor, would see through me?
You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling of thrill, it's even greater than when I sneak into someplace.
You killed Faraday? Why? Answer me. Callisto, you?
Callisto, you? That's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. I see. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law.
I made Rel an offer, an acquittal for a little favor in return. All he had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Rel was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. I chased after them and eavesdropped on them through a crack in the door. That Rel caves to only two things, money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined and Mr. Faraday held onto Rel any longer. Plus, if I had let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I had to kill them both.
But didn't you say that you despise criminals?
But I do, really.
You've forgotten about the KG8 incident too?
Maybe. What sort of woman would...
So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent?
Well, I had a good idea of what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rel wasn't the Yatagarasu by using this Yatagarasu's key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Because who in their right mind would think something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 on the pretext that I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. And in order to get in with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He then let me hold the Yatagarasu key. Just like that. He never noticed that I had changed the key into a knife inside that plastic bag. And he didn't have the chance to take note of the knife that took his life.
How could you kill him?
I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death.
But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rel as well.
I believe I mentioned why we were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness. And how that led to the killer to think about setting them up as though they killed each other.
Then the trick with the surveillance tape.
Yes, I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high that I'd be caught. However, that's when I remembered the existence of the surveillance tape, which is why I had Rel help me set up the crime scene. And after it all said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work with a bullet.
You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you betray a client?
Client? If you want to talk about who a client of whose first, it was me. I was the client in the murder of the Cadopian Embassy staff member, Dead Man.
You ordered a hit job?
You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad? I had Dead Man killed because he was about to give away info about the smuggling ring. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination?
It can't be. You're...
That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring.
What? How could this...
You don't mean you're working with Manny Colton too, do you?
Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll never know. The Yatagarasu claims to be noble, but you're just another cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. Yatagarasu is just another killer.
Be quiet. You?
Yatagarasu? You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it.
Where's the smoke bomb?
So just humbly accept the judgment of this court.
Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why that is? No? Let me tell you. It means that the Yatagarasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work. Oh, shit! Everybody duck! You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You even handed the Yatagarasu's key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. You mean the key was your real target? And even after I gave you such great advice, didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on a criminal? Or you may regret what comes of your negligence.
You two get down!
My body, I can't move. Hey, mister, to your right.
Oh, Jesus. Somebody get a guard in here. You! Get her! Take her down!
Are you all right, Franziska? I'm perfectly fine, Miles.
Her voice is shaking, but it looks like she's unharmed. Where did Kay go? Oh dear.
That's a gunshot!
Crimes beget more crimes, dear God! Please don't let someone be dead now. September 10th, 7 o'clock p.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. Oh, thank good Lordy Lou, you're alright. And apparently Kay is going to be alright. I mean, according to what we know about her showing up.
Sorry, but it looks like she got away. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon.
Detective Bad, are you alright? I heard a gunshot.
I'm okay. Just cut another hole in my jacket.
You may say he's fine, but he looks quite shaken.
But more importantly, boy, I mean, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma, are you two hurt?
I'm absolutely fine.
I'm also alright. Thanks to Kay.
Speaking of Kay, where is she?
I don't know. She just sort of disappeared.
I'll go look for her. Oh, and hey, Detective Gumshoe.
Yes, sir. Detective Bad, sir.
I'm sorry I doubted you.
Don't worry, sir. It's not your fault. I lied to you guys too, after all.
I heard about what happened. From Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But in this case, you're protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective.
That's gonna inflate his ego for 7 years.
Now, don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay?
You got it, Pops!
Pops? Watched one too many detective dramas recently, haven't we?
Way to single-handedly destroy the cheeky atmosphere with one snarky comment.
Now I should get back to the investigation. I swear I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do.
Be careful, Detective Bad, and take care.
Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday.
See you later, sir.
Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything.
Yes, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison.
Oh, and you still look sad.
I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. It was no problem, really. I mean, I lied too, so I didn't help anything. It's really not your fault, Your Honor.
Well, even if we didn't have His Honor's testimony, I think that lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf.
Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as a detective.
Well, so long as you're not fired, you should work hard, give all that you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me.
She did?
Oh, what is it? What was it that Kay left to me? The proof of their friendship. A nice little chocolatey surprise.
It's a courthouse special Swiss roll. Can I really have it?
Yes, it's a present meant for you after all.
Thanks a bunch. You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Sure, go ahead. Just don't get crumbs on me. The Swiss rolls Detective Gumshoe and Kay brought together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father, it would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective.
He's so happy. It's as though he's having a welcome back celebration of his own.
Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him.
Whoop! That was good, pal.
Oh, I can't believe I got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. It's like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I gotta thank Kay myself. Hey, wait. Where is she? You only noticed just now? Was his mind not present when we discussed him earlier? Detective Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him?
Yeah, you betcha, pal. I'm gonna go help him.
Oh, but first... You know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to anymore.
I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
Oh dear, I have a muskrat following me. I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from this ominous statement.
We should go home too, Miles. We have to hurry and report what happened to Papa.
Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective.
Roger, sir. And don't you worry, I'll investigate the next case we're on real well.
I'll, be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air. Thus, like a bad dream, my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I have tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. But I suppose that's just how things are. Muse. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... here.
So, do you remember now?
Yes, I remember everything. Kay, it's been a while.
Kay, you sure grew up a lot.
Of course. But thank goodness. I thought you two had totally forgotten about me.
You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time?
Got me, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They lived really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here all that much.
Oh, is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're alright.
So, does it all make sense now? Well, aside from the fact that you apparently call yourself the Yatagarasu now, no.
You betcha it does.
Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and,
Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. First of all, why did you come all the way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu?
you fake.
The Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father.
No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father.
What? Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu?
Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure. Either that or he was walking in the Yatagarasu's footsteps trying to follow her. One or the other.
But that's impossible.
What's with that look? You don't believe me?
It wasn't just the expression on my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now.
All right, then. How do you explain this?
It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing.
Yep. That's Little Thief. Truth be told, this is the Yatagarasu's greatest secret. And this little gizmo was used by my father.
Wow. Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor. He was a really great thief, huh?
Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed, and the Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently.
Someone other than you?
Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article.
Interest. And yeah, the spiky hair kind of gives off some alarms.
The Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card?
Yeah, meaning the person's a fake. I'm almost certain that Callisto Yu lady is behind this. Because the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a gaudy card out.
But the Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicized. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves.
Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all worked up and I knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I figured it's you, Mr. Edgeworth.
So you're saying that I have your father's and Miss Yu's identities backwards?
Yes, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real, noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace. Good God. That is some straight up anime bullshit.
Kay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always be here to cheer you on, pal. Even if you are honorable, a thief is a thief. And if you are plotting to commit a crime, then I'm afraid I can't be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth! Oh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now?
Mr. Edgeworth, what I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman.
That evil woman? You mean Callisto Yu?
I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe... Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me?
I have a soft heart, mostly softened by an idiot in a blue suit. Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you.
Nah, owe me for what?
When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I am not so rude as to leave favors unrepaired. Repaid, rather, not repaired.
Then you mean?
Yes. That case has been weighing down my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. If you don't intend to sully your hands in a crime, then I believe I can help you.
Mr. Edgeworth, thank you!
Yay! Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Oh, isn't that great gay?
Yeah, sure is, Gummy.
Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. Ugh, what is with their chummy relationship? The great thief, Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Byrne Faraday, Callisto Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changing identity of the great thief Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal. It would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay.
End. And I guess we will figure that one out when we come back. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with the colors? I don't remember that. Oh, there we go. Maybe that was there before and I just didn't notice before. But yes, it looks like we have a new case and we will be checking that out the next time. What was that case called? I didn't check it. Turnabout Ablaze. Ooh. And I see we have that. Yes, yes. So Kay gets her own little silhouette. Very neat. Let me see. How many more silhouettes are left back there? I think we basically got every single one of them. So that, I think, will do it for the stream tonight. So thanks for everybody who popped out. I appreciate it. If you want to take a look at this episode after it's done, I didn't do a whole lot of futzing around, so I'll probably process the footage and upload it to YouTube when I can. I stream on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays, all of them starting at around 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Some other games that I currently have lined up. I want to play Breath of the Wild sometime soon. I also am playing West of Loathing, which is a hoot and a half. I've done some Hat and Time mods, and it's real fun to just futz around with some stuff that the community has made. Very, very talented freaking people. I've done random roguelikes in the past. Probably still will every now and then. I also do some random VR streams whenever I feel like doing it. And I cross my fingers that they don't horribly mess up. Which happened the last time I tried. And I'm looking forward to trying it again sometime. Especially when I finally get my hands on some good quality VR experiences, which I'm lining myself up to. Anything else? I think that's about it. So that'll do it. Again, thanks for coming out. See you next time.